It's raining outside. It doesn't rain much in Utah. I suppose not so much that it doesn't rain very frequently. It's just when it does, it usually it doesn't really quite count as rain. It's a little half-hearted. Yeah, maybe God doesn't care much about Utah, so even when he does care over Utah, it's just not very much. I don't know, I'm just playing. But, I don't know, I was just listening to David Icke freak out about everything. It's kind of funny to me. I know that's awful, because it is. This is all awful. Okay? But one of the things that I'm trying to get through to people, one of the things I guess Michael Tsarion tries to kind of, he seems to try to get through to people too, in his own way, is that so long as human beings are in aggregate literally psychotic, that you can continue to, you can expect to see shit like this, including all the really weird occult stuff too. Okay? Uh, like, for example, right? All the weird occult stuff. It's just so odd. But yeah, so you could think of, yeah, I can't think of any, like if you're looking at a chain of causality, right? And kind of put aside the possibility that may be all deterministic because we're too limited as beings. Like we're not as big as the whole universe, right? So it's difficult, if not impossible, for us to. Certainly, I would suggest maybe impossible for us to maintain an accurate deterministic picture. Okay, you could say our brains aren't big enough. Uh, so we muck around with probability. You know, even if free will might be illusory, it's very important. It's very important illusion to believe. Okay, and this is where belief kind of comes in. It's kind of ironic. There's actually correct ways of applying belief. Even in this case, a belief that might not even be true. You know, it may very well be that everything's deterministic. But that's not helpful for you. Okay, because you're not God. You know, you're not the God. Okay, and then like with the Kabbalah, the idea is to adhere to God. I don't get any more details of that at the moment. Yeah, David Icke's freaking out. I think it's funny. Yeah, and we can expect this. We can expect this. And what do I mean by the human race is psychotic? Like, in the aggregate. Okay, what I mean is that most individuals, I would say most, to some degree or another, if not everybody to some extent, um, cannot discern reality from fantasy, right? Like one way to put it is that they're not correcting their thinking errors, okay? Um, which is why we end up with wars and stuff, and all the weird occult stuff, I would suggest, okay? Um, and by that I mean like the stuff that's, the Temple Tsarion type stuff, things like that, I mean, would actually be funny if I wasn't sure that the people writing them were psycho, okay? Like that one guy, the Mind Wars guy. Like, he actually can, like, hypnotize you. Like, he even hypnotized. Like, I knew better. But he still put me in a hypnotic state when I watched him on the Sean Stone show. I had myself thinking, or he had me thinking, maybe he's not so bad. Maybe this guy's okay. Maybe I should listen to what he's saying. It's just, wow. It's pretty amazing. So, yeah, things like the Temple set would be very amusing if it weren't for that. If it weren't for that. But yeah, and all the wars and stuff and all the other sick shit that I don't even want to get into. Oh, yeah, it's because the human race is entirely insane. Like individuals within the human race, like a lot of them, cannot discern. For example, vaccines. Let's take the vaccines, for example. Vaccines, I think I've used this example before, but they cause harm. We know it. They have little or no benefit. Um, Yet it still seems like it's like a majority of people really buy into that shit. And some people will even shame you and try to accuse you of child abuse. Oh, here's an interesting thing. Like, so I went to court over something. I won. I won. I knew I would win. I actually won against the court-appointed legal defenders' uh, best efforts to make sure I didn't win. Stupid asshole. But I knew I'd win. But when I was at court, I was seeing these other cases. This one guy, he was getting charged with animal abuse for not giving his cat like a couple shots, which is amazing to me because last time I checked, there's not a distemper uh, problem. If there were, that might make sense because learned immunity is a thing, but I don't know. It all depends on how they do it and whether or not it's actually effective and worth the risk. You know, I've seen kittens die from distemper shots. The next morning, it was dead. As soon as we gave them the distemper shots, a couple of them, you know, they could have grown up to be healthy cats. So there's that. Well, people can't distinguish it. Like even with when, if I'm not mistaken, to this day even, you can still look in the box for any drug, including a vaccine, and read it. You find the part that says the insert. What you're looking for is the part that talks about the known side effects. Okay. You find that part and you read that, and you know it reads like a science fiction horror movie. Yet sometimes, like nurses and doctors and shit, they will still like say with a straight face that in a roundabout sort of way that like somehow that doesn't matter. That those statistics, those horrifying statistics and shit, don't matter. That somehow it's still perfectly safe. It's kind of funny actually, in a way, and it's really macabre, sick sort of way. Because I get it now. I get not to buy into that horse shit, but a lot of people don't, dude. Like I would even say maybe like here in America, like the majority of people totally buy into that you should be taking all the vaccines, and if you don't, somehow you're in the wrong. Okay, and so what this lack of ability to discern fantasy from reality does is actually makes these people a danger to themselves and others. Okay? Like some of these outbreaks, like the measles outbreak or whatever, like that can infect non-vaccinated communities. Like, yeah, and you heard that and you can check this yourself. And even read the inserts, like these things have been known to cause measles outbreaks. These MMRs, and it's one of the most dangerous vaccines there are. It's a combination. If you don't do it in combination, it may be safer. Yeah, they've been known to cause measles outbreaks. Okay, and then that can spread to non-vaccinated children. But you're in the wrong if you're not vaccinating. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. So I think that demonstrates it handily. And you can go ahead and look up the definitions of psychosis if you'd like. Psychosis, a psychotic, whatever. Yes, yes. So yes, duh, we're having wars and shit. But most of the people commenting, like I mentioned in another video, they've never been in the military, so that you know they may lack a certain level of comprehension about this kind of stuff. It's like, and it's even Mark Passio's mentioned that yeah, only one side has to be fooled for a Hegelian dialectic used to, like, say, start a war to be effective. Okay, only one side has to be fooled. You don't have to fool both sides. If you can, that's great, but you don't have to. Only one side has to be fooled, necessarily, possibly, and then you've got a war or whatever. Doesn't really matter. And then even the side that knows better kind of has to play along and play to win. I know that sounds sick and disgusting, and that's because it is. But this is why psychology is important, and I would argue philosophy is important. Of course, I would argue philosophy is important. I mean, science is based on core philosophy, and if you don't tune that and update it, then it becomes obsolete pretty quickly, in about a half a second, I would argue, or less. Okay, so we have to deal with where we're at. This is what you could call like sort of a firefighter thing, you know. We do need some firefighters, and we do need to do some firefighting. But at the same time, this is not where our main thrust should be, okay? Certainly not all the time. We have to work to create a better future, okay? Not dwell so much on the destruction of the past. Like Michael Tsarion's mentioned, like we're in a necrotic phase, shit does kind of break down, okay? It's kind of, I guess, supposed to happen. But no, the thrust should be on creating the future, okay? And I think some of us, we do have some concept of what a better future might look like. So if we just worry, if we just focus more on creating a better future and, keep a level heads and focus mostly on that, just things will be all right or they won't. Either way, okay? Just there's only so much we can do. All right? I think that's all.